Hello, guys. Okay, so I'll try this again. I'm going to read from Philippians, the Recovery Bible. Um, I'm going to start reading from where it says recovery requires sacrifice. This is before the book starts. It says a sure sign of progress and recovery is when we begin to care about those around us who are still in bondage to their addictions. As Christ suffered and died so we might have life, we must sacrifice for others as well. It takes maturity to lay aside our own interests and agendas in order to share the message of hope and recovery with others. But such sacrifices are part of recovery. Staying self absorbed can set us up for pride and relapse. Carrying the message of recovery to others will always strengthen us. As we struggle through the recovery process, it is common to have conflicts with other people. We are sometimes in pain, and it can be very easy to turn against the people who are causing that pain. The believers at Philippi sometimes picked at each other, but as this letter reminds us, our battles should not be waged against one another. We need to concentrate our energy against much greater enemies, our powerful dependencies and destructive pride. Okay, I've been having bad anxiety for the past like 3 days now. I don't know what it's about, but um, I'm just gonna continue to read and do whatever he's telling me to do. So I'm saying that because just in case you notice, my breathing is different. Okay, the footnote for chapter 1, verses 3 to 11. Paul told the Philippians that he had been praying for them, which would have greatly encouraged those early believers. Our spiritual awakening will lead us to feel growing concern for people in need. As we share the message of hope with others, we should also pray for their progress as part of serving them. Our prayers for other people struggling with addiction will significantly impact their spiritual growth. As we let them know we are behind them, not only will they grow in their faith, but we will be encouraged to persevere in recovery. In retrospect, Paul could not see. In retrospect, Paul could see that God had allowed the events of his life, both good and bad, to help him spread the good news. If we take an honest look at our lives, we can find the same to be true. Through our painful addictions, we have gained the perspective needed to share the message of hope with others. Our personal stories of deliverance are an essential tool for reaching other people in need of recovery. As with Paul, our painful past and God's powerful deliverance open the doors to our serving God with by helping others. We cannot lose if we belong to God. Whether we live or die, right? We know we will win the end. We will win in the end. During times of relapse and failure, we may be tempted to give up on life completely. Paul's primary motivation for persevering was his deep concern for others who still need to hear the word through us. We will then have one more victory storm to share with others. No matter how deeply we have failed or how many times we have fallen, God can still use us to save the lives of others just like us. There is always time, a reason to live. So, I want to say if you guys have been going through struggles with addiction, there is a way to get clean and to stay clean, with God's help. And if you have relapsed, don't beat yourself up. It's not about falling, it's about getting back up. That's what determines whether you are, strong or not. Because if you stay down, the last time I was 105 days sober, I stayed high because I was so embarrassed, right? Because it's hard to, the process of getting sober is very difficult. Staying sober is much easier, but just the getting sober is the hardest part. It's a big mental part. It has to do a lot with mental, but you have to let God in. You have to surrender. You have to know that you can't do it by yourself. You can't. That's NA principles. That's also the recovery programs, the connection, CL connection. What is it? C whatever. Trying to remember what it's called, but it's CL. addicts, whatever. Anyway, but that's another recovery program that they have. They have different recovery programs. So they all say the same thing. You have to realize that you are powerless over your addiction, basically, and oh, it's right here. Actually, I have it here. And once we do that, that's when God can start doing his work. Because until we do that, we're going to think that we can do it by ourselves and we're going to relapse, over and over until we know that we can't. We need the Lord. Um, so, with that being said, I just want to say God is real. It's possible to change. Look, this is what happens with the recovery. The 12 gifts of life recovery: hope, power, character, clarity, security, abundance, wisdom, self-control, freedom, happiness, serenity, and peace. The 12 attributes are not just result or outcomes for people in recovery, but truly gifts from God. They show that recovery doesn't merely provide escape from a destructive problem doesn't just merely provide escape from a destructive problem. It also points toward the possibility of a new and exceptional life. If you are abstaining from drugs, you're not recovering. You're just basically abstaining. But true recovery is when you're transformed. When you start changing, because we have bad habits. In active addiction, we manipulate, we lie, and we're self-righteous. We don't realize that we're doing these things. I didn't. I used to lie and manipulate and use my looks for my advantage and a lot of things that I did, and then in my own eyes I was like, oh, I'm because I got a good heart, I know I'm right, I was always justifying everything, and we don't realize how wrong we are, until we surrender and until we allow him and we open up and be honest with ourselves and allow him to show us our wrongs, what we're doing wrong, and he will. With that being said, there's a lot to the recovery process. It's a transformation, it's a new life, it's a whole new way of living, and it is much more fulfilling than living in darkness, living in addiction. Addiction, we feel guilt. In addiction, we feel isolated sometimes. In addiction, we feel confused. The spiritual warfare that comes with it, the money that's involved, the deterioration of our body that comes along with that, and why not live healthy lives? And not only that, but a healthy life will also bring joy to your family. If you don't care about yourself, do it for your family and let us love you. Like, God, they told me, if you don't love you, let us love you until you do, and that stuck to me because it's true. They did love me. The people in the program offered me hugs, which I needed so badly. And that just made me feel so much joy and loved, and it was hard to accept love at first. And it's like, and it felt good. And then, I just started becoming around other people like me and who had hardships and, they know what I'm going through and they can relate. And little by little, I started, and with God's words, especially, I started loving myself and I started realizing my value and my worth, who I am. I'm not what they say I am. I am a child of God and he loves me. And I say that because you are too. So with that being said, I'm going to end this video. God bless you guys. I love you. I hope that this was of some benefit for you or some encouragement. And if you have been in addiction and you are still clean, I encourage you to do some videos because people right now need to hear this. Our world is suffering. A lot of addicted people, a lot of drugs are deceiving people, a lot of the deaths that are happening, overdoses. A lot of this is because of that. So let's do this new thing that God is doing. God bless you. Bye. And if you are getting high, God can help you get sober. Just call on him whether you're high or not. He hears you. God bless you.